Oh, see there? We live. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get Miss Brittany up here. What's going on with you? We're running just a little bit behind schedule today, y'all, but don't worry. We're gonna make sure y'all get y'all full hour. We're gonna be kicking it off pretty soon. You ready to roll? All right. And they're gonna get us. All right, y'all. Come on, get in here. We got a real good show lined up. You got to tune in and see what we're gonna have going on, though. Is it gonna be a good show tonight, Brittany?
We playing on what you got on your agenda. You got some notes too tonight.
Oh, no, that's real estate stuff right there.
Oh, that's real estate.
Got some stuff in there though. On the other book.
Listen, y'all, you come with a briefcase, a notebook, a pen, a computer.
Y'all ready? You right about that. You gotta have it. You gotta be prepared. All right, y'all come on in here. Where are all our people tonight? All right, we coming on in here, y'all. I can hardly hear you. All right. All right. Good evening, District 66, Hines County and surrounding areas. This is your host, Fabian Nelson, along with.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all out there today?
And we have a special guest that we're going to be bringing on later. We're not going to tell y'all who it is. You got to keep listening if you want to see who it. There we go. All right, y'all. Sorry. Once again, look, we were having some technical difficulties. This is your host, Fabian Nelson, along with.
Good evening, everyone. This is Brittany.
All right, and we are getting ready to rock and roll. We have a very special guest this evening. We're not going to tell you who it is. You got to stick around to find out who our special guest is. And I'm going to put it on back over to you, Brittany. What we got going on?
Listen, he wants to put it back on me, y'all. He got his notebook, his computer, his pen, his briefcase. He read it today.
Everything but my glasses.
Oh, God. He probably has contacts in y'all. He can see. So we'll go on with our announcements and reflections and observations. So definitely want to send special prayers out to those who were involved with the most recent hurricanes in Florida. Your sister lives in Florida. Was she impacted by?
Yeah, she's down there actually in Tampa. What she does is when storms come, her and her family work at the shelter. And so she's been at the shelter working, but they went home this morning. House was fine. They just don't have power.
Okay.
But it didn't really do much damage other than, debris and stuff down. But we definitely are grateful for that because it was a pretty bad storm from what we're hearing.
Right, definitely. So we do want to start real quick just thanking God for his many blessings on today, keeping all of us safe and sound and allowing us to be here. Definitely pray that he, provides us with traveling grace back home. There's a lot going on. On my way here, I read where a teacher's vehicle was stolen at Jim Hill, and one of the students was ejected from the vehicle. That's a very, very sad story. So my prayers are going out to that teacher. Vehicles are replaceable, but the mental state of what has happened can cause a lot of mental anxiety for the teacher. So definitely heart goes out to that professional.
Yeah, that is it. I saw that on the news earlier today, and I was like, wow. I think the one of the students that got in their car keys to go get some out of the vehicle, and they decided to go out on a little joyride, and that I heard that they were both at the hospital. I think they were saying there were minor injuries, so I definitely hope that these young people recover and learn from their mistake this time. It's like I tell people. It's like our kids have gotten so into these video games and things that they really think that's a reality because that's something that you were doing a video game. Correct. And so we got to make sure that we're letting our kids know, right from wrong. And y'all, the call-in number, again, is 601-948-5950. Y'all want to call in about anything, we definitely would love to hear from you.
Let's hit up a topic from last week, the traffic light restoration. That was a project that you definitely took on last week after. Thank you to the caller who called in last week to bring it to our attention. Definitely Representative Nelson took the initiative to go out and find out and make the right connections and partnerships with the right people to make certain that those people that were impacted by that definitely receive some type of assistance. So kind of elaborate on that from last week.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why I always tell people when local and state government can work together, we get solutions. After when I left the station, I went right over there to the spot because I wanted to see, for myself. And I saw it. It was actually the whole traffic light was in the middle of the street with barricades and people driving through they had to literally drive through store parking lots
Wow.
to get around. And so that next morning I got on the phone with city officials and just told them that's a hazard. Somebody driving through a parking lot that might be speeding and run over somebody. And so was able to work with them and they were able to get out that evening, Friday evening. They have the traffic light cleaned up. The road is back open. It's a 4-way stop, which we got to get that light back up there because it's still dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But the road is back open. That was my main concern. And so they told me that it was going to be the beginning of the week that the light was replaced. It still has not been replaced. So beginning of next week, if it's not up there, we're going to be trying to figure out what we need to do to get that taken care of.
Well, definitely, because we know that you are proactive and you're definitely addressing. So.
Well, all right, we got a caller. All right, caller, you on the air?
There is no call in the queue. Thank you.
I guess we missed. Okay, hold on. I think it's. All right, hey, caller, you on the air?
Doing no.
Hey, doing good. How you doing?
Blessed and highly favored man. How you doing today?
Doing good. How you doing?
I have a question. And how you doing, Brittany? You fine today?
I am great. How are you and Mrs. Adams doing on today?
Hey, as I said initially, ma'am, blessed and highly favored. But I have a concerning question for me that I would like to just ask and see what your thoughts and opinion on it. I believe it was an article in the Mississippi News today, referring to President Marcus Thompson of the Jackson State asking the IHL for $5.2 million to purchase the Marriott downtown to be utilized as a housing facility for JSU students. And in my personal opinion, I don't think that that's a good move, basically because you're buying a facility that's outdated and has a whole lot of infrastructure irregularity to it, and it's like pushing a bad apple off on the university as a whole, when you could take that same money and consider some locations of building a totally new dorm facility in the immediate area of the university. So I would just hang up and listen to your opinion on that. See, what do you think?
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Wild. We appreciate you. All right, so that was a very good point. He's talking about the $5.2 million appropriation that Jackson State is asking for to purchase the Marriott. I do know Jackson State is on board, but the IHL is not really in favor of it from what I've heard. I know that House leadership and Senate leadership have been working. I've heard that they kind of are in favor of it as well. So I will research it and get some more information on it. But in my opinion, Jackson State does need more housing, for its students. However, I don't think that that's the solution. When we look at downtown Jackson, we only have really 2 hotels down there. We have the King Edwards and then we have the Westin. And so we're talking about bringing back our downtown area. We need to utilize that space as a hotel. An investor, and once Jackson's booming again, an investor will more than likely come in and revamp that hotel. But if we're putting a college dormitory in the middle of downtown, we still got to think about busing the students over to the university. That's going to be an added expense on the school, as well as, when kids, when you send your children to college, you want them to be able to get the full campus experience. That's going to be very, very hard to do, being that it is downtown. So I would like to see an appropriation from the state to help Jackson State build a new dorm. And I know it's possible because I know we just, I think, built a dorm at Mississippi State. I think we appropriated money. It was one of our other schools. So that's what we need to be focusing on. And as Mr. Wild said, this is, that building is going to have to be really redone and revamped. $5.2 million is just to purchase it. So it might need another 10, 15 million, to restore it. So that's kind of how I view it, but I am going to do some more research on this and kind of see where leadership is standing on this. And thank you, Mr. Wild, for calling in with that.
Okay, so we will move on to our next topic. Glen Erin Street. I definitely want to commend Supervisor Wanda Evers. She's had some county officials as well as some other, I would say, volunteer services out cleaning up that area. So kudos to you, Supervisor Wanda Evers. I definitely spoke with her about Friends of Jackson, which I am the founder and president of, along with Representative Nelson, collaborating with her with a project called or titled Glen Erin Cleanup Initiative. So if there's anyone listening would like to be a part of that, I, along with Representative Nelson, Supervisor Evers, are partnering together to definitely clean up that area. All hands on deck. We're asking, volunteer your services, and definitely anyone knows how to reach Representative Nelson, of course, because his number is probably, as old people say, in the phone book.
It needs to be on a billboard so
Right.
everybody knows.
Right. But definitely, you can reach out to either one of us, and we are working on a date because we don't want it to interfere with any other city activity, so that we can get the maximum support for that event.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about violence. That's going to be a little bit later on when we bring our special guest on. So we got some stuff that we got to talk about with that. But yeah, and another thing, we want our listeners to know that we are listening. When you call in with issues, it's not going in one ear, coming out the other one. You know, it took that caller to call in about Glen Erin to put it on the radar.
Correct.
He called in the next day. We were out there looking at Glen Erin. Next thing you know, we were on the news talking about it. And there have been about 10 arrests for illegal dumping since the news aired this story. So we are listening. If you got concerns, call in. We'll do what we can. Same way with the traffic light. We had no idea that the traffic light was out. And so called in and we got that, we were able to get that taken care of. But that's what it's all about. It's all about us taking ownership. This is our city. We have to take ownership of it. And, we got to get out there and do it. We got to stop waiting on others to do it. And it's sad that it's that way. But we have to be invested in our community to get the results that we need.
True. Definitely want to hit on, also, I was reading across Facebook and it was mentioned to me, walk and run efforts to support hurricane victims in Florida. That's by Mr. Hobson of Hobson's junk removal. And so he's trying to start an initiative so that we can support our fellow, I would say, what Florida be, our fellow neighbors. We're doing a Good Samaritan deed, he's asking. So if you're interested in partnering with him with he mentioned an 8K walk run. I know that's a bit for me, so I know I can't do 8 miles.
I'll pass out water for him.
Right. Well, listen, if he can strategically work this out, we can support this initiative. I'm all hands on deck for it. I think that's great. We do need to support Florida in their efforts because that's a lot of destruction they have had to encounter. So definitely if you want to assist Mr. Hobson with Hobson's junk removal, definitely reach out to him on Facebook. And let me provide you with his phone numbers to those who want to reach out to him as well. So you will know, or if you want to assist, as Representative Nelson said, if you want to pass out water to be on that team or duty, definitely do so. So his name is Mr. James Hobson. His phone number is area code 601-278-1023. And he does an amazing job throughout the city as far as cleaning up. And he's going to partner with us as well as our Glen Erin project. But if you're wanting to kind of work out the logistics with him, definitely call him and discuss those project details for the help for the Hurricane Milton victims.
All right, I want to send a shout out to Miss Mary Bradley from Columbus, Ohio. She said, I will always love JSU. She meant JSU though. JSU. Hey y'all, how you doing, Miss Bradley?
Okay, that number was asked for again. So Mr. Hobson's number is 601-278-1023. And make certain that you all let him know that you heard this advertisement or project, should I say, it's not an advertisement, it's a project on the Reliable Representation Talk Show.
All right, and we're going to be going to our special guest in a minute, but I want to talk about one more thing.
Okay.
Have y'all seen on the news, JPD had a press conference, I think 2-3 days ago, in regard to fentanyl overdoses?
I had that on our list today.
Okay, so they had a press conference. They were talking about drug overdoses, and fentanyl actually came up. And so we're seeing more fentanyl overdoses, around here. And I sat down with WAPT earlier this week to talk about it. I authored House Bill 1137, which provides Narcan, which is an antidote to fentanyl overdoses to save people's lives. And so when I was telling them, I said, I'm glad that we were able to get that on the books now instead of having to get it on the books later. So now we're going to be working with JPD to make sure that they can get bulk supplies of Narcan so that all our officers can get it. So that's the big initiative that we're really pushing right now, trying to save some of these lives by, getting that Narcan. And we need Narcan in every home because, fentanyl is definitely creeping up on us.
Definitely. We also want to make certain that we say special shout out or bereavement condolences to Mother
I don't see
Houston.
it.
Cissy Houston, Whitney's mother. I'm a Whitney Houston fan. That's all I knew when I was growing up. So definitely hate that she's went on to
Yep,
be
definitely.
with the Lord.
Definitely a great lady. And look, Miss Mary Bradley corrected me. She had it right. JSC. She said it was JSC when she went there. So it was Jackson State College.
Tell her, Miss Riley.
I'm sorry, Miss Bradley. Look,
She gotta get you
I
together.
thought she had a typo. JSC's on. All right. Okay. We have a caller. Hang on. Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss on your father.
Thank you so much.
And my name is Pastor Jackson. I Pastor Williams. Yes, you said it for a number of years. Your brother, when he was in the hospital, I received him some years ago.
Yes, sir.
But two questions I want to say. What Wild Man was talking about is true. Whatever you can do. I do not agree with paying that kind of money. Then you got to put $50 million in it when you can put up a brand new building you can find on another site. The other question I want to say concerning this supervisor woman that is working hard out to get these workers, all workers, along with Ms. Deborah Dixon, raised. They, like a needle in a haystack, they don't find them. Those people need a raise. I want to thank God for Ms. Deborah Dixon, Sister Wanda is so much like her father. She said, if you're in charge, be in charge. She was after anything. She done hoped so many folks it would take 2 years for me to tell you all. Thank you for taking my call and have a good day.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for calling in, Reverend Jackson. All right. So we are going to move on. Are y'all ready for our special guest?
Let's go.
All right. So I'm going to let you introduce our special guest. I've been doing enough talking. I'm just going to sit in the cut.
Listen, the bishop ain't doing it. Y'all know that. That's not what the bishop do in church. Well, listen, before he gets to that, well, no, I'm going to wait, and then we're going to incorporate that in our questions that we're going to ask tonight. So I'll wait for that.
Okay.
So our special guest tonight, you all, is a mayoral candidate, Mr. James Hopkins. So welcome to the Reliable Representation Talk Show. And we will allow you to introduce yourself, tell us why you're here and why you are definitely running for this hot seat.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for having me here. And I always give thanks to God for being here. And we definitely need to keep our prayers for what's going on in Florida.
Definitely.
And also for what's going on here, daily. But we have things like 2 hurricanes, weeks apart. There's definitely something, we have to step back and say, they need our prayers, they need our blessings, and anything we can do to help them out. I'm going to be a part of that. So I hear about the different things that people are having, to help them out. So I'm definitely going to sign up. And Mr. James Hopson, your name is so close to mine.
It's very
I have to be
similar.
a part of it, right? I say, you may tell me I'm doing that too. But we're definitely going to be a part of that. And so I just want to urge everybody that's listening, to be a part of a blessing. Everybody likes to be blessed.
Come on, preach.
But one thing I learned is the best way to be blessed is to be a blessing to somebody else. So let's be a blessing to people and make it happen, because there was a time, I remember a few years back, when we didn't have water in Jackson because of an ice storm, and the country reached out to us and they really took care of us. So we had that opportunity to do the same thing. So let's be those people that shows gratitude.
Yeah, that's it. And we have to also think back to remember during Hurricane Katrina. And so we had people come from everywhere, like so many humanitarian groups. They actually went and rebuilt those homes on the coast free of charge for a lot of those people.
Really?
They did. So we have to, remember those things. We have to help our neighbors out, because we never know when the tables are going to turn and we're going to need help from others. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell us about an event that I see that's coming up. I've heard a little bit about actually the logistics of it, but I see you've already put it together, so people just need to come out and support it.
Oh, yes. Representative Nelson reached out to me this weekend, and we spoke about the crime that's going on in South Jackson, and then just the vision that we have amongst the city. And his question was, what can we do right now, that could at least kind of mend some of these wounds? And what I do, I also have a nonprofit, which is called Reset Jackson. And what we do is we go into different communities, mostly communities that are struggling. And we try to do what we can to help repair those communities as far as culture-wise, which is what reset means. Reset means you change the mindset. If you can change the mindset, you can change the culture. If you can change the culture, then you can change the environment. So what we try to do is we go in these communities. There may be a lot of underprivileged children. We may do things, buy clothes or just feed them. We give seniors, we take water out to senior citizens who can't get out, or even the elderly or just handicapped or something like that. They can't get out. We'll take them food. If there are places they need to go, we do all of this free of charge. We don't get government grants for anything we do. It all comes out of pocket, which goes back to being a blessing in order to be blessed. And we also, if there are students that are kicked out of school or can't get in school, we go to bat for them, and we make sure we can either get them back in school, and if they can't get back in school, we'll help them team up with someone that can teach them a trade or a skill, and that way they're not out robbing people.
Okay. So this event, based on the flyer, is coming up this Saturday, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be a Saturday event. It's like he said, I had to do it right now. So when you call, you just pray about it and then you get it done. It's called Just Stop the Violence Rally. And what we're going to do is we're asking for all churches, pastors, all elected officials, our community organizations, law enforcement, and number one, all citizens who are available to come out. We're going to meet up at the corner of McDowell Road and Belvedere Drive. And that's going to be at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday, October the 12th. And this is an event that, again, was put together by Representative Nelson and myself, and also Anointed Soldiers for Christ, which is Chris Cooper. So what we're going to do, we're going to have food, we're going to have drinks, we're going to have music, and we're going to have prayer. It doesn't make a lot of sense to get out there and say, let's stop the violence, if we don't include God in it. I try to include God in every single thing I do. Because at the end of the day, we may have what we call answers, but God is the real solution. So we have to make sure we put God into everything we have. And we just want to invite you all out. It doesn't matter if you live in South Jackson. It doesn't matter if you live in North Jackson. We're all one city, one community. And the only way for us to fix what's going on in West Jackson and South Jackson is we still need the help of North Jackson and Belhaven and Fondren and Eastover and downtown, because if you don't fix problems where they're festering, eventually they're going to roll over into your community. So let's not get the idea that, you live in a $400,000 house that makes you safe. Because as long as a criminal has legs, a bike, or a car, you're not safe. So our goal is to just reset the minds. You all come out, you share this event with us, and let's just show unity across the city.
And this is not going to be the only one. This is going to be the first of many. It's important for, visibility is key. People need to see that people actually care about the community. People need resources. Once we can change the narrative and show people that we actually care, we can get them off the streets. We can stop these things from happening. Our young people, once we can get them in some mentorship programs, that's going to help, because I am not for locking our young people up, because we don't rehabilitate in corrections. You lock them up, don't do anything, and they come back out more aggressive than when they went in, because they learn more stuff on the inside. And so we got to figure out a way to stop it from coming to that. And this is the way we have to get the community together.
And another one of the solutions that I'm pledging to have if I'm elected mayor, I want to take one, maybe two of these schools that have been closed down to do just that. When children are expelled, you know, we want to make sure that, or even if they're out committing a misdemeanor or something like that, and we don't want them to end up with criminal records at the age of 12 or 13 because they made a small mistake, but their mind isn't fully developed either. So what I'm looking to do is I want to take one of these schools that have been closed down and turn it into something like a military style school. It's kind of what you see with Oakley Training School. We're going to teach them skills. We're going to have mental health professionals on hand, which is one of the biggest problems, you know, in our community. You know, we don't really have that mental health that we need to get our children back on the right path. A lot of times they're just considered to be bad children, but there's really something going on up there. So we're going to have the mental health experts. We're going to have people teaching them skills, but we're also going to have people teaching them manners, teaching them respect, teaching them how to respect themselves. So when they go through this program, instead of coming out with a misdemeanor on your record, you can get that expunged because you completed this program and came out a better person. And my hopes is that when people see you as a better person, you can then convince somebody else, you know, that they don't have to be the person that they are.
Yeah, that's it. Let's talk about like incarceration in Mississippi. We have like the highest incarceration rate in the country right here in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And also African-American males are the highest population of those that are incarcerated. We got to do something to change it. We got to change the narrative early. And things like this is what's going to help, because our young people, they just want to be loved and cared about and taught that they're important. I've seen it over the years from mentorship programs. It absolutely changes their lives when they see that somebody cares for them, because they may not have ever had that love and care. And when you get that, they don't want to do anything wrong because they don't want to disappoint you.
Right, and what you're saying is so true, because what we also do in Reset Jackson is we involve young people as early as 2 and 3 years old. Now, sure, they don't know what they're doing, you know, at that age, but they're also being molded and taught, you know, the positive things to do. When we go clean up a community, they're right there being involved in it. When we're doing the food deliveries and things like that, they're there. When we do the parades and stop the violence rallies, we include our young people in it, because we can't wait until a child is 12 or 13 and then try to teach them the right way. Science says that between the ages of 2 and 7, that's when they learn the majority of the things they're going to learn in life. So we have to catch them in those ages. And instead of allowing the streets to teach them, we need to teach them the positive ways. So if you have young children out there and you want them to be a part of a positive program and learn something positive, I'm going to give you this number right quick. It's 769-251-9789. And that's Reset Jackson. That's James Hopkins. You can reach out to us if you're having a problem with your teenager. We've been called by actually council members, and I've even had law enforcement, you know, to reach out to us about speaking to children, you know, who are going the wrong way. And we go out and do it. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We stop and we take care of that, because those are things that have to be taken care of right then. If you have a child that the parent is afraid of, if the parent's afraid of them, you know, they're not going to care about what they're doing in the streets. Mm-hmm. So we have to have, you know, people like mental health professionals who can talk to families, the mothers and the children. But what we do, we don't claim to be mental health experts, because we're not. What we do is we go in and we speak from life experience. I'm a minister. I go in and I speak from my God side. I speak from my life experience. I've been in trouble in my life before too, you know. But the thing is, I had people there to talk to me and say, hey, look, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. So we have to be those same individuals to our young people, because a lot of times, like she said, they just want to be loved. If they're not getting the love that they want at home, they're going to search for it somewhere else. And we have to be right there waiting in the wings to show them that love that they need. Because if we don't show it to them, you got the dope man going to show it to them. You got the gangbangers going to show it to them. And then you end up with situations like we're having with these drug overdoses and things like that, because people just don't know how to cope with situations. So it's our job as people, not just being in an organization, but just as a human being. If you know right from wrong, and you know that there's a child that may be struggling and they may be suffering, and you don't say anything about it, I'm sorry to say this, but the truth is you're part of that problem, because if you have the ability to reach out and help somebody, your job is to do it, whether it's your child or not. So we don't focus on our own children because we're hoping our children are doing the right thing, but if they don't, we still get on them. But our goal is to fix the children of people who feel like they can't fix their own children.
Wow, it takes a village.
Takes a village.
I mean, and that's true. And so my first question for you is, what is the biggest problem that's plaguing the city of Jackson right now?
I think the biggest problem we have is crime. But crime, it also goes back to what we were just speaking of. There's not a lot, and people say there's not a lot for our young people to do. And that's the truth. Now, the way I see the city fixing that problem is open these community centers back up. And I think the zoo, I think is a great place. I've gone there, a lot when I was younger, haven't been there lately. But when we're talking about putting $1 million a year into the zoo, and it's only giving us back 50,000 to 75,000, as sad as it is, I think it's time to turn that page. We could take that same $1 million and we can have every single community center in this city open, and the children can have something to do. If we're going to fix the zoo, I say we put another attraction out there with it, whether it's a water park, a theme park, or something like that, because standing alone right now, it's just not getting it done. So if we're not willing to do that or not able to do that, then the next thing I think we should do, we should move it if we don't want to close it. Now, I spoke with you earlier, and I used to believe that the zoo should be moved to LaFleur's Bluff. But then I watched the way the legislatures are coming up with all these different laws and these new laws to take anything profitable in the CCID area. And I'm just afraid if we move that zoo out there and it starts being profitable, they'll find a way to take it. So my new option is we have land that's not being used in South Jackson. Once you pass Elton Road, between Elton Road and Byron, we have lots and lots and lots of acres. And we could use that land, and we could put the zoo out there, and we could also put that same water park I'm talking about. We could put that out there. We could put a movie theater out there. And what we're going to do, because of that I-55 corridor has so many travelers, you can attract people to Jackson that may not would have been coming, but as they're passing through, they see this zoo over here, they see this water park, see this big movie theater, and even a mall. So we have to think otherwise than just, we need the zoo, we need it in the Black communities. If it's not being profitable where it is, then it's taken away from something else. And what I believe it's taken away from our community centers that are across this city. And when you don't have the community centers, you don't have anything for the young people to do. They're going to find something to do, and crime increases. So I think the biggest problem we have in this city is crime. Now, a close second, very close second, we just don't have unity in this city. We don't have it with our leaders. You have council votes, always 5-2 or 4-3. That means there's a division there. We have the mayor can't get along with certain council members. He'll show up for certain meetings, and certain wards he just don't show up for. So we have to fix things like that.
Yeah, most definitely. And another thing we got to think about is, you talked about the community centers, but also the parks. So we need our parks restored, because the swimming pools weren't even open this summer. And the kids really need something to do in the summertime when they're out of school, but they couldn't even go swimming this summer.
Right, because most of the parks are attached to community centers. I mean, most of the parks, swimming pools and all, they're attached to community centers like Jones and things like that. But when you fix those, you just give them something to do. And then you also be in the community. You also teach them how to be sociable. Because what the problem they have now, nobody knows how to socialize, because everybody's talking through cell phones. You see people get into serious fights, even gunfights, over something that's said on social media, and it's somebody you've never met in your life, but because something was said and you didn't like it, and you set it up, and you meeting up at Lake Hyco where they like to meet up. They didn't think I knew that. They like to meet up at Lake Hyco and fight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they like to meet up at Lake Hyco and fight. So, I mean, it's just, we have to give them something to do as a city, That's what I think the city can do, because we have the buildings,
Mhm.
we have the funding. We just have to put the funding into the right place to give them something to do. But also, you have to raise your child. You know, we can't expect the schools to raise them. The schools are there to educate them. We can't expect church to raise them. Church is there to teach them something spiritual, you know, teach them about life. But parents have to raise their own children. And if you can't raise your child, it's okay to ask for help. You know, a lot of us in the Black community, we think if we ask for help, that makes us weak. It means I want to do better. Ask for help, you know, and we're embarrassed about having mental issues. People hide it. They don't want to send a child to school with medicine, or even the child don't want to take medicine. But we have to be serious about changing if we want to fix the problem. If you're embarrassed about what's going on, you're never going to fix the problem.
You're right. Just can't keep on sweeping it under the rug,
Can't
because
sweep it under the
it's
rug.
excavating, you know, when we do that. And what's the next question over here? I see that mine's just working.
My
Just a
mind
little.
isn't working. Listen, I'm listening to you also. I want to touch bases on the issues of the library. That's a big one for me. I have some other questions, but that's my first one. Is the library? I know you all mentioned about the other outlet opportunities that are available for our children, but a big vital piece is, from the educational standpoint, is the library. Most students or most children, the African American population, do not have an electronic device such as a computer in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So when we don't have easily accessible libraries, which can benefit the children as well as the parents for applying for jobs or other governmental assistance or needs, that's a problem. So as a prospect for the mayor, how would you govern that to make certain that the funds that are appropriated for that specific area is actually deemed necessary and being utilized for that?
Well, we just have to hold people accountable, you know, and things have to go where things have to go. But I also know that the state is trying to get internet in every home, which will help the problem that you speak about without them having the access and things like that. But we have to take care of our library system, but also the schools have to continue to teach these children things that we grew up on, like how to use a card catalog and things like that. But they also have to have access. I think churches that get funding, they should have access in every community, because we know we have about 4,000 churches in this city.
Sure do.
There should be access for people who don't have those type of services to come in, to apply for jobs, and to do things like that. But when it comes out of a library system, first we have to fix the libraries. Most of them are molded. So we'll fix those. We'll make sure that all funds that are allocated for that goes to that. And I'm somebody that I don't mind putting up a fuss. So if I see something that's not being done the right way, I have zero problems calling you out on it. Because if I sit there and watch you do the wrong thing with funding that's supposed to be used for something else, it doesn't make sense for me to come back and complain in the end. We have to get out of this finger pointing stuff. Well, it was supposed to go here, but they took it. No, if they took it, you allowed them to take it. So I'm not going to be one of those finger pointing people that said, well, you know, it's their fault it didn't happen like this. And then you have to be transparent. If you can't do it, you just can't do it. But I believe our libraries and the funding we have for our libraries should go to our libraries.
Okay. What contractual and negotiating experience do you have as you consider the bid for mayor?
I don't have any contractual experience.
Okay.
You know, but as far as negotiating, I think that just goes back to knowing how to just talk to people, you know, to what I do as a community leader, what I do as a minister. My job is to understand people and to get people to understand me. And what we do is, if there's something that I can't agree on with somebody or they can't agree on with me, the word is compromise. We have to break out of this all or nothing mentality, because that's what's gotten us in the shape that we're in. It's either all the mayor's way or all the council's way. If you can't get it that way, then we get nothing. And when we get nothing, that means the citizens lose. They don't lose, we lose. So as far as my talking to people with my nonprofit and then talking to people with my ministry, that's what I'm going to say as far as my negotiations. But as this process go along, I will be doing, you know, more things on that level.
Okay.
And I want to go back just a minute, just a little bit to the last thing we were talking about. So we were talking about when money is allocated, how it's not, maybe it's being used for something else that's not being used, and you want to make sure that it's used in the right way. Well, we just got a report today regarding state funds, and so we appropriated probably maybe $400 to $500 million just to different municipalities for projects that the communities need. Well, state statute, what we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to require DFA to get audits from all of the people that we provide funding to. And we found out that all of our municipalities aren't doing that. And so I'm saying that is to say we're going to start enforcing that.
Right.
It's important that whoever we have in leadership everywhere in all the District 66, I can speak for my district, but it's important that we're making sure that we have somebody that's staying on top of that, because if not, those entities are not going to be able to get funding anymore.
Right.
And so what
That's
you
why I was
said,
heading with my next question.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
with the-
about
But
funds.
it's
with-
about
uh-huh.
accountability,
it is.
so you just have to hold people accountable.
Yeah, that's because if you think about it, if you say, okay, we just got $5 million to pave roads, and you get the $5 million, you tell all the constituents, oh, we're paving the roads. You get that $5 million and it goes somewhere else. That's not fair to the constituents.
Right.
So it makes sense not to give it at all, because if you're not using it for the purpose intended, why is the state giving you that funding? So that's something that we're going to be paying attention to. Make sure these audits are done and make sure that this money is being used the way it's supposed to, because we owe that to our constituents. It's not our money we're using; it's our constituents' money, the taxpayers.
And see, that was going to my next question. What experience you have as well with working with budgets and finances to be ensured, as the mayor being the chief executive officer for the city, how would you ensure that your directors, your department heads, whatever title that they have, as far as leadership, how would you guarantee that they are doing what they should be doing with those funds? And what experience do you have working with the budget? I know the city's budget is relatively large.
It's huge, right?
But what experience do you have, or how would you navigate that?
Well, first of all, again, it goes to accountability. If we're not holding anybody accountable to what they're supposed to be doing, then we've already lost. We've already lost the battle. And right now, what's going on is, like you said, if there's no oversight and nobody to watch what's going on with this, you just have people who are going to do the wrong thing with it. So we have to have the proper oversight to make sure that these funds are going where they're going. You can't wait 2 years to try to run a check and balance report and find out that 16 months ago, somebody took $1 million. So we just have to be consistent with the oversight. Now, I haven't run a budget as big as the city, but I don't think a lot of the people who are running for this office has either. But I've worked for companies that were, multi-million-dollar companies that I was in charge of. So I'm familiar with how to not only operate a budget, but how to make sure that there's a profit at the end of the day. So that's my experience as far as managing budgets.
I have this question going back to crime, because we hit on that earlier. What are your thoughts about the city obtaining a misdemeanor holding facility? Because that's needed. Because I'm of the belief that if you have nowhere to place individuals who are committing the crimes, you are really giving them a license to go back and re-victimize someone else again.
Okay, so again, that goes back to something I've spoken about a lot too, back to the schools. When we close down so many schools, if we can get with the state, and another part, we just can't work with the state on anything, but I want to be able to work with the state. If we can work with the state, the district, and the city, we can retrofit some of these schools that have been closed down, that are not in the center of communities. We can retrofit these schools for misdemeanor holding cells. So you're not just gonna get that paper and then they tell you to go. Let's fit these schools to hold for misdemeanors, bring in that tax base that we need from these misdemeanors, but also, like you said, let people know that you're not just gonna come in here and get a slap on the wrist and go home. So we have facilities to use. Now, I don't know about buying a $65 million jail, for misdemeanors. I also don't agree with sending them, 5-6 counties away either to be held overnight. I think we have to do what we can do with what we have first. And my thing is, we have schools now that are being emptied. they're being torn apart. They have vagrants living in them. But if we have a plan, not just to close the schools, but there should have been a plan to do something with these schools also. And I think one of those plans should have been retrofitting it as a misdemeanor jail, and we won't have that problem.
And another thing, our criminals are smart. The ones that are committing crimes. I was talking to a commander at JPD earlier this week, and he told me that he arrested this guy for a misdemeanor charge. And said the guy told him, "You might as well not waste your time because I'll be going home before the ink dry on your report." And he said, Lord and behold, as soon as he got down there, cut the guy loose and let him go. So they know that, you know, it's not going to be any kind of building. So they'll commit these little misdemeanors. And so we have to start doing something to hold people accountable when they commit these crimes. So,
but to do nothing doesn't help the problem. You have to start somewhere.
That's it.
And that's why I say,
And I think the city already has somewhere, right? The city did have a holding facility at one point in time. I was under the assumption that they
Was
did.
it downtown?
Using other
I thought it was downtown.
jurisdictions.
Yeah,
The
they
one
had
downtown is all molded and everything, and they can't do anything. with it.
Yep, that's the one they used to use.
Right.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
I said,
Yep,
I knew
uh-huh.
they used to have one. So switching gears to beautification, that's another major. It's just as important to me as crime. Beautification. What are your thoughts on what are we going to do as far as a better job of a city as far as routine maintenance? Right of ways being cut, trash being picked up, holding these people accountable who are parking cars on their vehicles' lawn. I get that's your property and you should be able to park your vehicle wherever you want to. But at some point in time, there comes to a level of respect and level of decency. Doing that depreciates your property value. So where you can go to Eastover and sell a house for $100,000, in South Jackson, that same house is only going to be worth $40,000 because of what's surrounded. So what are we going to do? And I know it's a cultural thing; it's changing the narrative as well. But there are some solutions that we can implement as far as beautification that our city is definitely lacking.
First, we need to hire people to do these jobs. You know, and speaking with a lot of the council members, the biggest problem we have is we just don't have enough people to go out and do code enforcement and, you know, people in the public works department to clean up and things of that nature. We had an issue with the graveyards not too long ago. I know y'all knew about that.
Mhm.
So the problem we had with the graveyards is weren't getting cut. But after digging and going to these meetings, I found out they only have 3 people to cut all the graveyards. So it won't get fixed. We have to staff every department, but we also have to staff the leadership, like public works department. We go to too many public works directors. And I think the reason why is we're trying to lure people in with money that really don't want to be here. I think we need to search more within the city to find people who love the city and care about the city. That's willing to deal with sometimes it's just not going to go our way, but we still have to get it done. But the main thing we need to do, we just have to hire people to do the job. And then our citizens just have to take pride in what they have.
Pop quiz. How many code enforcement officers do we have in the city of Jackson right now? That's for both of y'all.
3.
I was about to say 2.
Yep.
Yeah, 3, right? How many is it?
3
Okay.
with 2 in training.
Okay.
And so that means when they're out of training, we have 5 code enforcement officers to police a city of population of about 145,000. And so it's no way possible for them to be able to, you know, do their job completely. And so, like you said, making sure that certain departments are fully staffed.
Right. If we had 1 for each ward, I think that would be a good start.
Mhm.
Because you have 5, who's going to say which spots they're going to feel like is important enough, you know, to go to. So we have 1 for each ward, then you also know who to hold accountable for what. Right now, if you got 5 people, who do you hold accountable if something's not being done?
That's it. You won't know
They'll
who.
say, well, I went there. Well, he said he was going to go there. But if you have 1 person for every ward, then you know who to hold accountable.
Okay. So what are your 3 major points or target points for your campaign? What are your 3 major issues that you're wanting to address if you are so chosen to be the mayor? What would those still be your same 3 points?
It definitely would be crime. It would be staffing, and it would be accountability and unity. being able to work with our council members, not go out front with things that I know aren't gonna pass before I go out there. Waste my time, waste their time, waste citizens' time. We should be willing to sit down and talk. I'm gonna be willing to sit down and talk with every single council member about anything that I want to bring before. And if I know it's not gonna pass, I'm not gonna waste time, putting it out there. That's how you get all these arguments, and that's what the media is gonna show. I heard Mr. Archie on here earlier. That's what the media shows. So we're gonna make sure that we're working together in unison. When we have major contracts, we're gonna involve the citizens. I wanna be able to go to every single ward with every single council before we throw stuff out there like we did with these parking meters downtown. And they come out and say, well, the meter's gonna be up 2 weeks, you have to start paying or be fine. If the meters went up, then that means you had already discussed the contract and worked things out. And the citizens should have been involved in stuff like that. So I'm gonna make sure I do that. Of course, we spoke about the crime already. And education is just important. If you can fix the crime, your infrastructure, and then just your unity, you can fix the city.
Hey, back to that, like you said, as far as procurement, got to brag on Terry, Mississippi a little bit. I opened the newspaper up today, and Terry, Mississippi had an ad in there, open for public bids for a new garbage company.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're advertising to the people, and they're giving them a deadline to submit their suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's good because you're allowing the people to have some say-so in
Right.
what's going on versus being silent about it. Next thing you know, we got a new garbage company and everybody mad about it because the rates went up and all of that. But like you said, we really need that in government. We have to have transparency.
You have to have the people involved too. We do team summits, and these are when we go in and tell the teams what's best for them. It's what they tell us what works for them. And we have to be able to do the same thing, have these listening summits, around the city, even after the election, whether it's me or whoever gets in office. They ought to be willing to go around to every ward and just listen sometimes to see what's going on with the citizens. Because a city as big as Jackson, it's easy to lose. And we've seen that now, to lose control of what's going on in the city. So my thing is I'm going to always involve citizens. I'm citizens first. If we take care of our citizens, they'll take care of the businesses and the businesses will come. I'm not a business first person. I'm just saying that.
That's it. The citizens are the backbone of the community.
They're the backbone of the community.
They're going to keep it going. They're going to keep you informed when you have an open door policy and they know that they can actually talk to you. They're going to keep you informed and let you know what it is going on. And that's the way you get change. You cannot govern from behind the desk like some of the people do. You have to be out there in the community with the people, open communication with the people. And think about it, people are not going to always like your decision on things.
Oh, no, they're not.
But it's not about that. It's about doing the right thing.
Right. And one thing about it, and it's funny you said that because I'm not sure how old you are, but if you can remember when Mary Hawkins Butler took over Madison,
Mhm.
she made some drastic changes as far as business wise. A lot of them you can see the signs from 5 miles up the interstate, and she made them take all of that stuff down. So many businesses wanted to leave. So many people were upset because they were getting signs about the grass not being cut, getting citations. But what happened is they stuck with the process. And now she's probably one of the best mayors in the country because of that. So yes, sometimes there are going to be some changes that you just don't like. But if you trust the process, we can fix this city. We're not as bad off as we think we are. We're pretty bad off now, but we're not unfixable. There's just some things that have to be prioritized. And right now, the only thing I feel like we're prioritizing is bringing in new businesses. But you can't put a $10,000 paint job on a car with a knocking motor and the oil leaking and transmission slipping and expect people to say you got something great going on, because that's what's going on here. So we have to stop trying to cover up, trying to bring all this stuff in, and we're not fixing the problem we already have.
We fix the community and build a community. Businesses are going to be begging.
They're going to come. We don't have to go out and recruit.
When, if it comes to Madison, with all of the guidelines and codes that they have,
Right.
like when you look at Walmart, when Walmart wanted to come, they said all buildings have to be brick.
Right.
And so Walmart had to spend more money to build a store out there,
Right.
but they went there. So you can't think that if I have standards, businesses are not going to come.
Right.
If you have standards and the business doesn't want to come, we don't need that business.
Right.
It's just
That's
point
right.
blank.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what it boils down to.
Yeah, like if you date a person and you got standards, why are you
That's
gonna
right.
settle for something that you don't have
Exactly.
to? So
Right. That's what it boils down to.
so we have to have standards and guidelines, and it might hurt people in the beginning, but if you're doing what's best for people, and when people start to see
See the change.
the change, then they're on board with it. And like you said, the Mayor Madison, whatever she says, they're on board because she's earned that trust over the
Right.
years.
And involve them in it.
And involve them in
Don't
it.
just make decisions that you know are going to be drastic, and the people don't know about it until it comes down the tube. So I'm a people's person. I'm a community person. I'm out there now. If I'm elected, I'm still going to be out there. I'm going to take care of the city's business. But when there are things going on in the community, I'm going to be there. I won't send a representative, in my place.
Absolutely.
I will be there. And that's what we need. We still have to have that face-to-face interaction with the mayor. Everything can't be fixed from the steps of City Hall. Everything can't be fixed with a pen and paper. Sometimes you have to get out there where the people are, get dirty with them,
Roll
cry
your-
with them if you need to cry with them. But
Roll
let
your
them
sleeves
know
up and
I'm on your side, and that's what we need.
that's it. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna let you got anything else? We're gonna go ahead and let you sum everything up and tell people, anything you want to tell them, how to get in contact with you, whatever it is you want our listeners to know.
Okay. I just want y'all to know before I go, I am not a politician. I'm a community activist. The community is my top priority. If I'm elected your next mayor, what I will do is I will rebuild this city community by community. We will have this city good. Communities will work together. We will no longer be a tale of two cities, but we will be one city, one community. And that's my goal for the city of Jackson. It's not something that's impossible. I'm not going to come in here and say I have all the right answers, because I don't. And if anybody tells you they have the right answers, they're lying to you. But what I will tell you is I'm going to go to bat for this city. If I fall, if you fall, then I'm going to fall with you. We're not going to point the finger. We're not going to say what was wrong when I got into office. Because if I get into office, that means I have a plan to fix this stuff. And 2 years in, I shouldn't still be saying, well, it was like that when I got here. My name again is James Hopkins. I'm CEO of Reset Jackson. My phone number is 769-251-9789. If you need me in your community for anything, give me a call. Thank you. God bless.
All right, and we are wrapping it up. Hand to take us on out of here. We'll see y'all next week, same time, same place. Y'all have a great week.
I would never take cold medicine before I come back in. I can't think.